Mathematicians and Gear Up, as today we're going to practice solving real-world problems involving areas of a figure, and we're going to use visual models and equations to help show our thinking. Let's get into it with our I will statements for today.
Remember, your I will statements are your goals for this lesson. They are what we are trying to work on and learn more about throughout our time together today. As we continue on in our lesson, make sure you have your mind focused on these three things and showing them to your teacher. I will read the I will statement first, and then we will read it again a second time together. Make sure you're reading it nice and loudly so I can hear you, but no shouting necessary.
Pause the video and read the I will statements as a class now. Solving areas of a figure, and we're going to use visual models and equations to help show our thinking. Let's get into it with our I will statements for today. All right, mathematicians, for our warm-up problem, your teacher is going to do a kinesthetic moving activity with you, which means you're going to get out of your seats. But it's important that when you stand up, your mouths are closed. Your teacher is going to give you specific things to do, and they'll even tell you when to stand up. So don't worry about standing up just yet. They'll guide you on different directions, either to look or to point, and your job is to point in those specific directions. If your teacher asks you to model a specific angle with your arms, they'll demonstrate how to do it, and then you'll follow along in doing it as well. If time allows, play a little game of Simon Says, and then come back and I'll explain what you're doing for today's lesson. All right, mathematicians, now that we have had time to go through and do our warm-up activity, let's talk about what we'll be doing in class today. The supplies you will need for your class today will be the problem set questions that your teacher hands out to you, a nice sharp pencil, and your math notebook in case we need to look back at anything that we may have forgotten. For this activity, we are going to be working with specific word problems that have to do with the content that we are learning. When we go through these problems, here's what we'll do. We'll first read the question all the way through out loud. Then we'll go back through the question and we'll pick out that important information that we need in solving our problem. Once we've picked out that important information, it's time for us to ask ourselves these three key questions. The first question is, can we draw something? This may or may not just be a strip diagram or an area model, but this picture will help us identify those key parts in our problem and help us figure out how we can use those key parts in solving in creating an equation to solve in the future. After we determine can we draw something, then we ask ourselves, what can we draw? So look at the specific parts in the question and draw that material, making sure that we label it as we draw it so we don't forget. After we drew our material and made our observations, we're going to draw some conclusions on our drawing. So from that, we'll help make an equation and we'll look at what specific part we're missing. We might even label that with a question mark. Then it's time to calculate, which means we use our drawing, we write out that equation, and we solve it. After we solve it, to share our thinking, we don't just want to have a numeric answer, but we want to have a sentence. That sentence is a statement that shows how our answer in our equation answers whatever question we are being asked in the original problem. After we have come together and we've made our own conclusion, we're going to take some time and you'll share your conclusions, your final statements with your classmates to understand and see if your solution is reasonable. Meaning, maybe we made a math mistake and we need to go back and review some things. Does it sound correct or does it sound a little bit funky? These are all important things that we want to think about while solving word problems. Today, you are going to put these things to a test as you work through different word problems. You'll do a few as a class, and then you'll work on some with a partner. Make sure you work through these specific steps in pulling out information from the problem, drawing your picture, and then using your picture to write an equation, and using your answer from your equation to write your final statement. These 4 simple steps will have you being successful in solving any problem set questions. Good luck, mathematicians, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.